It was all good 5 minutes ago. Warriors were rolling up 10 midway through the fourth quarter, but Utah ends the game on a 20-6 run, and the Warriors begin this 6-game road trip off with an L, losing to the Jazz for the first time in 8 tries. Utah lost 7 straight to the Golden State Warriors, including both matchups earlier this season, but they get the win despite not having Lowry Markkanen and Colin Sexton. And the Warriors dropped to 10-1 when Buddy Hield scores at least 18 points in a basketball game. But that's an afterthought after what happened earlier today with the Warriors trading for Jimmy Butler, which we'll dive into in just a second here on Toyota Warriors Postgame Live with the Hall of Famer Chris Woolen, NBA champion Festus Ezeli. I am Vontae Hill. Any thoughts on this colossal disaster as the Warriors fall back to 500 at 25-25?
Yeah, Bonte, I mean, after having a game at the start to this game where, guys traded, the team is depleted, you're missing 4 of your guys being traded, and then Moses Moody and TJD are not on the bench. I mean, the Warriors right now, they came out with some energy. Brandon Podziemski did an incredible job. I'll start with the good things first because he was shooting the ball. He was playmaking. He was playing with pace. The Warriors have 33 assists tonight, so the ball was moving. Steph Curry had 32 points tonight. So there's a lot of good things to take away from this game. You're up 10 to the Utah Jazz with 4 minutes left. It's execution, it's patience, and I think the Warriors run out of gas tonight going against a young, scrappy Utah Jazz team.
Yeah, the Warriors were depleted, and the Utah Jazz are tanking, really, for Cooper Flagg. But, they're going to win some games, and those games are going to be home games. They get 6 plays in double figures. Keontae George, Isaiah Collier, Jordan Clarkson all had phenomenal games. As a team, they shoot 50% from the field. As you said, Bonte, the Warriors seem to be in control, up 10 with about 4 minutes left, a few turnovers, some empty possessions, and Utah capitalized. And they had the fact that they hung around. These are the games these type teams win, especially at home.
Yep, no doubt. Brandon Podziemski did score a career high in points, but it wasn't enough for the Warriors. But we have to get to the breaking news of the day when it comes to the Golden State Warriors. Breaking news presented by Toyota. Jimmy Butler is heading to the Bay Area. That's right. The Golden State Warriors agreed to a deal with the Miami Heat as Jimmy Butler comes from the Miami Heat and he signs a 2-year, $112 million extension with the Golden State Warriors. Andrew Wiggins, Dennis Schroeder, Lindy Waters III, and Kyle Anderson have been shipped out. Andrew Wiggins heading down to South Beach, Miami. The Heat trying to figure out what to do with Dennis Schroeder. He could be on his way to Utah. Kyle Anderson is on standby. He may go to Miami or Toronto, and Lindy Waters III is headed to Detroit. As you see the full details here, a 4-team deal. Dennis Schroeder going to Utah alongside a 2031 second-round pick. The Warriors give up a first-round pick to Miami, which is projected 1 through 10. They also pick up P.J. Tucker, who's bought out, of course, by the Utah Jazz, Kyle Anderson, and Andrew Wiggins. Josh Richardson heads to Detroit alongside Lindy Waters III and an undisclosed second-round pick. So the Warriors do pick up Jimmy Butler, and I'm going to get my fellas' thoughts on it right away here. Wiggins, who's having a phenomenal season, helped the Warriors win a championship a couple seasons ago. Two-way Wiggs he bounced back from last season after averaging career lows in points, free throw percentage, field goal percentage. He had bounced back in a major way, but he goes to South Beach, Miami, and the Warriors pick up Jimmy Butler, who has been suspended 3 times this season and only played in 25 games. So I'll start with you, Fezzy Phil. What do you think about the move here by the Golden State Warriors?
This is an incredible move by Pat Riley for the Miami Heat. You had a guy, a superstar, in Jimmy Butler who says, I don't want to play here anymore. I want to be moved. And Pat Riley found a way to turn that into Andrew Wiggins, slow-mo, Kyle Anderson, and a first-round pick. For the Warriors, making this move for Jimmy Butler, this is a guy who has been proven in the past. That Jimmy Butler is a guy who is in the playoffs, he's very proven. He just a couple of years ago took the Miami Heat to the finals, going past the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo and Milwaukee Bucks. So very talented. Hasn't been good in the regular season in a couple of years, but it's a guy that he can turn it on for you, can help you win a playoff series if you get to that point. The Warriors are looking for a boost. It seems like a lot of teams around the Warriors, you could talk about the Lakers, they got better. The San Antonio Spurs got better, and they got younger. So the Warriors now taking a risky move going against the Jimmy Butler, and only time will tell how this is going to work with him fitting into the system here.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing. You never really know a trade till with this trade, the rest of this year and into next year. We'll see how Jimmy Butler fits in. But on the surface, Jimmy Butler is a great player. A game like tonight, you're up 10. You put the ball in his hands, you slow the game down, he's going to get you a basket or a foul. So closing games, he's really, really important. A clutch performer, big-time playoff performer. How does he fit into Steve Kerr's offensive system? That's going to be something we have to work through. We saw Dennis Schroeder, who's somewhat of a ball-dominant type player, had troubles. Jimmy Butler likes to have his ball in the hands. I would compare it to maybe DeMar DeRozan going to Sacramento. You have to figure that out. It's doable, but in a short amount of time now for the rest of this season, It's going to take a lot of patience and a lot of work to work him in. I'm amazed at Pat Riley because a week ago they were saying there's no market. He'd been suspended 2 or 3 times. I think the Luka Doncic deal, the De'Aaron Fox deal, spurred a lot of teams. They made people anxious. But hopefully this deal works out for the Warriors. Time will tell. But on the surface, offensively, it's going to take some time to fit him in, maybe some adjustments. All the other things, he's going to bring good athleticism. He's strong. He can defend. He's a two-way player. How it fits into Steve Kerr's offensive flow, we'll have to wait and see.
They may not be done yet either. The deadline's at tomorrow at 12 p.m., high noon here, Pacific Standard Time. So we'll see if the Warriors make any other moves to fill out the roster, as we're always tracking for success, courtesy of our great friends at MyFitnessPal. Here's a resume of Jimmy Butler. He's a 6-time All-Star, All-NBA second team back in 2023. He's made the third team 4 times. We know about his defense. He's a 5-time NBA All-Defensive second team. Probably could have made a couple first teams. He's been that good as an individual and team defender. Most improved player back in 2015. And, of course, the steals leader back in 2021. He's had a good run in Chicago. Minnesota helped them go to the playoffs after a long drought. Obviously, Philadelphia, where they got beat by the Sixers in the second round with that crazy Kawhi Leonard three-point shot from the corner. And, of course, he helped Miami go to 2 NBA Finals. So he does have a very impressive resume. But the way it's ended at each of those stops has everybody scratching their head saying, will Jimmy do that here? He plays nice early on, and it never ends well, especially down in Miami. So there is some risk involved as well as a contract extension. But we know he can ball. When you get to the playoffs, he's a player that performs under the bright lights.
Well, you're excited about the fact that when he gets here, he plays nice, like you said. So when he gets to the Warriors, the thought for the Warriors is how is he going to fit into the system? Defensively, you think about a lineup with Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga, Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry. So your thought is how can you get spacing? So you got to get a shooter in there. You think about Buddy Hield, you think about Pods, any of the guards over there. But I don't think the Warriors are done for this. They're still trying to make some moves here at the end. But Jimmy Butler is a guy who can play. Just as soon as 2 years ago, he just made NBA second team. So he's a guy that can really score the basketball.
Those are Hall of Fame numbers. Well,
no question. You looked at his resume before the stats here. Hall of Fame resume. And these stats here, very impressive, continually dropping. He's 35 years old. So Pat Riley was thinking, that nice resume, that's what you did. What are you going to do from 35, 36, 37? So obviously they had a difference of opinion. Jimmy Butler had to find one team that felt he could make a big difference. The Warriors felt that. Now it's up to them and him to come in here and make this thing work. As you mentioned, he's got an extension, so he is committed. The Warriors committed to him. His mindset should be 100% all in with this Warriors rebuild, restructuring of this team. And that needs to start immediately because the Warriors are out of the box. And they made this deal to climb up the ladder, to get into the playoffs, to make some noise.
No doubt. 25-25 right now, but let's break his game down in the wall here. Jimmy Butler, we know he gets buckets, but let's go ahead and break it down, Mully. What does he do well?
One of the dynamic one-on-one scorers in the league. You saw his stats. He's going to get you 20. He's going to shoot a high percentage. He's going to play inside the three-point line. He loves the mid-post. He can bait double teams. Fox cannot guard him. He's too strong, too athletic. So he likes to operate inside that three-point line, Fezzi. Question is the spacing. Look at these Sacramento Kings defenders, all basically in his zone. So that's not Warrior basketball in my mind. And you just mentioned the one question is the spacing. And how do you incorporate this individual one-on-one play with Steve Kerr's offensive system of read and react, ball movement, body movement, 0.5 basketball?
One thing you will say about Jimmy Butler, because he's such a great scorer, he's going to garner attention from the defense of the other team. So with that being the case, he can play make. He can create for other guys, taking some pressure off of Steph. Here you have him on defense. You saw here against the Warriors, Jimmy Butler is going to be on the passing lanes. He's going to be able to defend. You're going to have that lineup, whether it's GP2, Jimmy Butler, JK, Draymond Green, or you can go down the line. But offensively, that's really the biggest key. Can he fit into the Warriors offense? At 35 years old, you're pretty much, you have made your resume. You have made who you are as a player. So how can you shift him a little bit to fit into the system? And how can you also shift the Warriors system to fit Jimmy Butler?
Yeah, to me, just watching those clips, Jimmy Butler's in the post. If I'm the opposing team, I never double team him. I'm going to live with tough twos, keep him off the free throw line, and not open up three-point shots. And you mentioned Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga. How does that spacing, first thing, and how does the rhythm and flow? Because we're talking about really getting back to that rhythm where Steph Curry doesn't have to get 28 shots to get 30 points.
Right.
He's getting nice shots. He can turn down some shots early in the shot clock and get a better shot later in the shot clock by relocating. That's all about ball movement, body movement, screening, timing, passing, not posting up in the paint. So that's going to be the puzzle to put together because there's definitely a place for Jimmy Butler. Tonight, great example. Clutch game. How many the Warriors have played the most clutch games in the league? Last 3 minutes. Get him the ball in the post. You want to slow things down. But you want to play 40, 45 minutes of fast .5 basketball. Putting those two things together is going to be the puzzle for Steve Kerr to solve.
And tonight the Warriors are in the bonus with about 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So Jimmy Butler getting to the free throw line, getting fouled. He knows how to manipulate the game in that way. But they tried with Dennis Schroeder to make him fit in. It did not work for Dennis Schroeder. We're going to be obviously paying attention to how Jimmy Butler fits with the Warriors. But let's look at their finances for a second. Bobby Marks of ESPN does a great job with this, a roster and trade assets. You see the roster here, Steph, Buddy, Jimmy, Draymond, Quentin Post on the two-way, Pat Spencer, Rowe as well, Kuminga, Looney, TJD. TJD missed tonight. You got Moses Moody dealing with an injury as well, alongside Brendan Pajitsky and Gary Payton II. But they're still above the tax, just over the tax for $4.5 million of wiggle room. They're below the first apron, barely. $1.8 million below that first apron, so you don't want to get over that first apron. Then we get the picks being frozen. It limits your moves here, but they do own their own draft assets there, 20, 27, 28, 29, and 30 if it's 1 through 20, of course. So there you go, Mully.
I'm locked into the starting five and reserves. The only apron I use is in the morning when I'm making my cheese omelet. Okay, so we're going to leave that off.
Using the apron to cook?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
A little sloppy over there.
Oh,
wow.
Okay. Wow.
I did not.
Starters every
Learn something new every day.
Hey, listen, this move was not made for 5 years down the line.
Right.
This move was made for right now to climb the standings in the Western Conference and make noise in the playoffs. And that's going to take fitting Jimmy Butler into this offensive system as quickly as possible and then figuring out what's the best combinations that function well together. So this is going to be a tough task, tough challenge for Steve Kerr and his staff. But they've done this before. Different type player. I would say I think Steve Kerr's 10 years, this is maybe the most unique player they're trying to fit in with Steph and Draymond.
I mean, think about how hard it's been so far this season, getting Dennis Schroeder, a point guard, to fit into the system. Now you got Jimmy Butler halfway through the season. This is more than halfway through the season right now. Trying to get him back. But not only that, he hasn't played in, a month?
It feels like it's been a while.
So now you got to give some time to Jimmy Butler to get back in basketball shape because you can't ramp him up. He's 35 years old. You got to make sure you ramp him up adequately so that he can be ready for the postseason. That's what you want to do at the Warriors. But he's going to miss a little bit more time, too. So it's going to be really quickly where he comes into the locker room and comes into the game, and you have to figure out these different combinations. We've already had 30 different combinations of starting lineups for the Warriors this season. That's been the problem. No consistency. There's going to be a little bit more of that, a little bit more flux for them to figure out the rhythm with Jimmy Butler.
And Jimmy's only played in 25 games this season, so hopefully he has some fresher legs as he dealt with multiple ailments this year. Let's hear from Terry Rozier, a former teammate down in Miami. Here's what he had to say about the move.
I think it's going to take a huge weight off everybody's shoulders, once we can move forward from everything, once it's over with, and we know what we got, and we can move forward for that and try to put together and get ready for the playoffs. So I think it's a huge lift for everybody, and just, clarity and know what we got moving forward. But most important thing, that was a good win tonight.
We know guys have their phones. We know the social media. Caleb said someone told him on the bench. What's it like to come in at halftime and sort of all hell is breaking loose in your world, but still keep the focus, like they say here, on the moment and the task at hand?
It's kind of tough. It's something that we've been trying to see what's going to go on. But it's out of our control. We still had a basketball game to win at halftime. And I don't think we didn't talk about anything. Obviously, we talked about what we can do in the second half to make sure we get this dub, and that's what we did.
Impressive.